Welcome to the Slow Living Collective podcast. I'm Amy, wife, mother of two, and devoted homemaker. Join me on this journey as we explore the beauty of slow and simple living, where life unfolds at its own unhurried pace. I'll take you through my experiences of slowing down, tending to our allotment plot, finding joy in the little things, and making the most of our small home. Together, we'll learn to live in harmony with the ever-changing seasons, discovering the magic that lies in embracing the present moment. So let's embark on this enriching adventure towards a more intentional and fulfilling life. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Slow Living Collective podcast. If you're new here, hi, I'm Amy and I am the host of this little old slow living podcast here. And if you are a returning, passenger, that just is a throwback to a previous life. If you're a returning listener, not passenger, if you're a returning listener, thank you so much for joining me again. So today I have a fab episode for you. I was joined in this episode by Emma from A Year to Grow, and we are talking all things growing, children, gardening, you name it. You're going to want to listen to it, okay? So let's just dive straight into today's episode and hear from Emma. Are you looking for a delicious way to live a more sustainable and mindful life? Look no further, because I've got something special just for you. Introducing Riverford Organic, your gateway to fresh organic fruit and vegetable boxes delivered right to your doorstep. When you choose Riverford, you're not just eating organic, you're supporting an ethical business that believes in food that's good for the planet and your well-being. Eating organic means you're savouring food grown with care, free from harmful chemicals and absolutely bursting with flavour. By choosing Riverford, you're supporting a business that is committed to sustainability, is employee-owned and passionate about reducing food waste. Embrace the seasons with a rotating variety of fruit and vegetables, fresh, local and in harmony with nature. Riverford has been a game changer for our family, and I think it could be for yours too. There is nothing more exciting for me than grabbing my Riverford box off my doorstep on delivery day. But there's more. As a treat for you guys, you can enjoy a £15 credit towards your second order. Simply sign up at theslowlivingcollective.com/Riverford to claim your credit and start your journey towards healthier, ethical and more seasonal eating. Hi Emma, thank you so much for joining me today on the podcast. I'm really excited to jump into today's episode with you. I'm super excited about growing season coming up. So excited.
Yeah.
Always
Oh my
excited
gosh.
this time of year.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much. I've got like the biggest grin on my face.
Oh, so
Love
welcome.
it.
So before we dive in, do you want to tell the listeners a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, okay. Um, I feel like it's always the wrong thing to like lead with your name and like that you're a mum and stuff like that, but I'm gonna do it anyway. So I'm Emma. I'm mum of two of my children are 9, nearly 9 and 5, possibly 9 by the time this goes out. I'm a home educator and a business owner as well. I have been a teacher for 13 years, and now I run my own business, running children's activities in my local area. And yeah, and I've just got this massive passion for growing veg. Like random like passion for growing veg. I just love it. But I also love things like crochet. Like I love crochet, especially this time of year where it's like wintry and stuff, like just like crochet and other crafty bits and pieces and stuff. And I feel like I'm really leaning into like my spirituality lately and just enjoying like being connected with the earth and the moon and like the ocean and stuff like that. So yeah, it's that's me really.
Excellent. So we're going to talk all about your passion for growing veg.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to dive into everything gardening related,
Yeah.
but also like children, because we both home educators. So yeah, we're going to dive into learning about growing in our gardens, all of that good stuff. So
Yeah.
I guess a good place to start is what sparked your interest in gardening and how did it sort of become entwined with your passion for education and home education as well?
Yeah. Do you know what? I was thinking about this and I can't necessarily pinpoint a particular time when I got suddenly like really into gardening. Um, but I was sort of thinking back to when we used to live in a flat when me and my husband were married without children. When we moved into our house and we actually had a garden and a bit of space, I think I suddenly just had to maintain it. And I had to do something because it doesn't maintain itself. So I remember having my auntie come around. She's like, she's super into gardening. And I don't ever remember a time when she wasn't. And I remember her coming around, and I was quite pregnant with my first child, and she was just like helping me like cut back all the bushes and stuff. And I remember thinking like, I have no idea what all these plants are, and it's really helpful that she's here telling me like what things are weeds and what things are not and stuff. So I suppose that's kind of like where it started from. And then when my son was a toddler, I just, it's just one of those really lovely things to get kids into, like getting them out in it. I mean, they love being in the garden anyway, like, finding all the bugs and getting stuck in the mud and stuff like that. But I think like, yeah, just having him there was like a real like sort of first sort of moment of like learning how to grow veg and like grow things from seed and stuff. And we start with all the basics and that, but just kind of, yeah, I don't know, like I think he just kind of got me into like the veg side of stuff. And it just kind of like went on from there. We eventually got our own allotment just around the corner. And when my daughter was a baby, she's 5 now, but I remember I'd had my name down on the list for like a year and a half, and then a plot came up just as I'd had my daughter. She was like literally like weeks old. And I remember my mum saying to me, "You can't have an allotment with a baby." And I was like, "You watch me. I
Yeah.
will. I will do this." And yeah, and that was so much fun, like having my own allotment. And we only had it for a couple of years, but because then we moved house. But yeah, that was so much fun. And especially like over lockdown, like because it was during that time that we had that space, and that was just like an additional place that we were allowed to go to at that particular
Yeah.
time of life. Like it feels so weird now thinking about it, like it's like 3-4 years ago. But yeah, so I suppose like it's just kind of all like come from there really.
Yeah, it's funny. So we applied for our allotment when, like, I don't know, maybe in lockdown even. I can't quite remember when we applied for it, but I was only on the list for a year. Um, and then thankfully, like something came up. But yeah, so I guess my first like diving into gardening was like, so when we first moved here, which is like 7-ish years ago now. So we live in a split level flat. So we've got a really nice balcony, and it's like the first thing I did, like the whole house, it wasn't terrible, but like we wanted to put our mark on it and everything.
Yeah.
The first thing I did was do the balcony. Like
That's so nice. I
it
love
was,
that.
yeah, I just really wanted to like, just have I was just so excited because we'd rented a flat for a year after we got married before we bought this place. And so
Yeah.
yeah, I was so excited. I was like, "Oh, little
Your own
balcony."
space. Yeah, I love that. That's so nice. And it's so like it just, I think having plants around just lifts your mood so much, doesn't it? I bought us in the shops earlier on buying myself plants. I just can't help myself. Like, yeah, it's just but I think it's just there's so much to like being around plants and growing veg and stuff that just is just so good for the soul, isn't it? Like, and I think that children just naturally gravitate towards that. Like they have this, I don't know, just kids just love being outside, don't they? Like
Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
time.
So,
Yeah.
like, during lockdown, me and my daughter would like when we, had like really nowhere to go.
Mm.
Me and my daughter spent loads of time out on the balcony. And actually, I remember my mum messaged me and she was like, "I'm going to get a plant order from like a local garden centre, because
Yeah.
they don't usually do like online stuff, but
Mm.
because of like the lockdown and everything, they decided to. She was like, "Do you want anything?" And I was like, I mean, like at this point, I think it was probably like Aprilish time, and by
Yeah.
this point, like I was well into like, I am gonna use everything I own, and now I'm gonna grow all my own food because I can't get a shopping delivery.
Yeah.
So I just, it's like, we just ordered like, I just ordered like loads of like plants. I don't think I did any seeds that year. Don't particularly remember,
Mm.
but I don't think so. But I got like lettuces.
Yeah.
I can't even remember what else, but I know everything. It was really full, but I remember there were lettuces because I remember I took of them because they just looked beautiful.
Oh, yes. I love that.
And then I think it was just after that that I applied for the allotment, and the allotment came up in towards the end, like October 2021. My son was born in 2021. He was about 4 months old, I think, when the
Oh,
allotment came up,
yeah, yeah.
and it was just like a lot of gardening, like, and
Yeah.
wearing at the same time.
Yes. Yeah. I remember wheeling her around when my daughter was baby, like wheeling her around in the buggy and just like she would just be sleeping in the bassinet, like underneath all the trees and stuff. And
Yeah.
I'd be like digging away. Like it's so
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah,
It's
we used
lovely.
to, with my son, we used to like have him in the carrier quite a bit. And then
Yeah.
when he was a bit bigger, he would often nap at the allotment. Like
Yeah.
as soon as we got there, he'd just zonk
Yeah.
out.
Zonk. Yeah.
And so he's 2.5 now, and I
Oh.
really feel like this growing season is going to
Mm.
be the year that he sort of spends more time on his feet, because like the rest
Yeah.
of the time he's been like, we took him recently. He's a bit less outdoorsy than my daughter is. She's very
Okay.
outdoorsy, but
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
a bit less so. We went to the allotment like just after Christmas, like, but after just
Yeah.
after the year, and like, we took like snacks and everything, and we weren't even there for that long, under 2 hours, because it's pretty
Yeah.
cold.
Yeah.
And he just came up to me and he said, "I want to go home."
Oh, that's so cute.
And so we're like, because he's a bit less outdoorsy, we're trying not to like be like, "Come on, we're going to the allotment while it's windy and raining." Like, just
Yeah.
ease him in a little more, so
Yeah.
so he has like a good experience with it and isn't like, "Right, I'm not coming here for the rest."
I used to find my eldest would moan more actually about going. He'd be like, "Oh, not the allotment again." Like, I'm like, you
Yeah,
don't have to do anything in the allotment. Like, I need to do some stuff because otherwise the plants won't live
yeah.
if I don't water them. But you don't have to, like, but the next to my plot was like these lovely trees and stuff, and there was like a little kind of cut almost like a tunnel that the kids had kind of created by themselves by going in and out like round in circles around this kind of these trees and stuff, and so they just love playing in there all the time. I'd like, leave them in there. And I remember there was one year when my daughter was a toddler and we had a whole raspberry patch at the back of the allotment, which, well, to begin with, I didn't even know it was there, but like until you kind of start working with it and stuff, you don't realize like what the previous people had left behind and stuff. But when so we'd kind of like sorted it out and created like this kind of cage sort of thing with like just nets and stuff just to stop the birds from getting in. But my daughter, she'd like undo the pegs and let herself in and like do the pegs up. She's only like one. She'd be in there like eating all the raspberries, and I'd be like, right, you fill your boots, love, and I'm just gonna carry on like digging over here.
Yeah,
So funny.
last year I know like my son kept trying to like hide in the greenhouse, and I'm like, "It's so hot in there, you're gonna have to come out."
Yeah, yeah.
And he's like, "No," and it's like
No.
sliding the door shut. And I'm like, honestly, that, it'd be like a very hot. We're lucky we've got the one end of our allotment, I guess, but where we've got like our shed and stuff,
Mm,
there's a tree right next to it, so there is enough shade that
yeah.
on a very hot day, I can try and keep people out of the shade, but like out of the
Mm.
sun even. But yeah, it was like, I don't know, it was like registering like 50 degrees in the greenhouse. I
Oh
was
my
like, "And
gosh.
you cannot
You
be in
cannot
there when
stay
you
in there.
shut the door."
Oh my gosh.
And
There's no
yeah,
reasoning with a toddler though, is there?
no, there is not. He's just like, "No, I'm fine." And I'm
Yeah.
like, "You won't be if you stay in the greenhouse."
Yeah. That's so funny.
Yeah, they are hilarious. But like you said, they just sort of like naturally just enjoy being there
Being
and
it, yeah,
and just,
yeah,
running around and having fun.
yeah. And I think that's what I love about it being part of our home ed as well, because it's just an easy like learning opportunity, like opportunities to learn, like literally provided on a plate. That is so, it's so easy to kind of just get, little kind of snippets of learning out of just being around the, in the allotment, or your vegetable patch or whatever you've got. Like not everyone's gonna have loads of space to grow veg and stuff, but like even if you're growing just a plant on a windowsill, like there's so much that you can get out of just that. From planting the seed to counting the seeds out, and like watching it grow in the life cycle, and talking about the kind of bugs that would come to this kind of plant, and the food that it would provide to different animals and to humans. And there's just so much to it. Like it literally, I think that's what I love about it, is gardening can cover every single topic, like every single one. I don't think I can think of a topic that is not like, yeah, it that wouldn't be covered by gardening personally. I don't know. Can you think of one? I can't off the top of my head.
Yeah, no, I
No,
can't.
there's like literally nothing.
Yeah, and like, with my daughter, so she's my eldest, and well, I guess she'll be 5 by the time she's about to be 5, like next week.
Yeah.
By the time this goes out, she'll be 5, and so like this is, I guess, our first official year of like home education.
Uh
And yeah, I mean, I just find, like you say, it's just so full of like learning for
mm,
her. We've also had like one of her really good friends, she's a year older than her, but she comes down to the allotment as well. We're actually going to do that more this year, have
that's
the
nice.
uh
Yeah, sharing the opportunities with
yeah.
other families. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just nice. Like we also had one of her other little friends, he goes to school, like they came down in the summer, and it's actually just nice. Like we made last year, I made like, I guess, like a little raised bed, and we put some
Uh
compost in it, and then we had some like just some little plants that we got from the garden centre that she picked around the back, and then we got like like a fairy door. We
that's
had
so
like,
nice.
yeah, we had like some wood from so my dad used to have like a log burning
Mm.
fire, and so he had often like the outer parts of where the wood had been dried, and so we like made like a little, I don't know, like a little tunnel, I guess. And,
Ah,
like bugs get in there, and then
yeah.
the fairies would bring extra stuff.
Yeah.
We had a friend looked after our allotment when we went on holiday, and when we came back, a load of extra fairy stuff had
Oh.
magically arrived. So yeah, it's
I
just
love that.
yeah, so they love playing that, and um
Oh.
yeah, just messing around at the allotment. She actually said to me the other week, she was like, "Which bed is going to be my bed for digging in this year?"
Oh yeah, yeah. I think that's really important actually, is to just allow a little area that you don't give a monkeys about
Yeah.
for the kids to like dig and stuff. Like, and I remember we did similar, like had friends come over to our allotment and things like that. And I actually had a takeaway delivered to my allotment once with my friends, because this was in lockdown as well, where you couldn't see anybody indoors, but you could see people outdoors. So we all like had a takeaway at the allotment. That was so fun.
Okay.
But yeah, like providing like just a little patch of like soil where they can just dig a massive hole, like fill it with loads of water, or, do whatever to, and you just don't care. Because I've got one of our friends, he's and my children's friends, like he just loves like digging in the mud, like he'll be in there with his hands and stuff like that, just like loving it, like living his best life, digging
Yeah.
holes in the mud and stuff. So I always have to make sure that he's got a little space where he can do that.
Yeah.
So
You,
yeah,
you
so
often hear me like at the allotment, I'm like, "Are you digging in my no dig bed?"
yeah,
And they're
yeah.
like, "Yes."
Yes.
That's exactly what I'm doing. I
So
think, I
funny.
don't know, I think when you garden with children, like you can't be too precious about it. I'm like,
No,
yeah,
that's the thing. Is that I think that like so because I'm on all these Facebook groups for like allotments and stuff like that, and I see like how people take it really seriously, and like, and they love it so much, and they, you know, I can see how important it is to them. But I think when you've got kids, you just got to go with the flow, and you
Yeah,
just got to like not really get, you know, just take every little thing as a learning opportunity, like, and either a learning opportunity for them or for yourself, to
yeah,
just kind of like just, yeah, see what happens and stuff. And sometimes things go right, and sometimes they go wrong, and you know, it's all part of the process. And it's, you know, at the end of the day, gardening, or, you know, growing veg is a life skill, isn't it? So, you
yeah,
know, that's what I just think it's so important, like, for children to know where their food comes from. Like,
yeah,
my children in particular, like, I just think, like, you know, I could give them cut up carrots, like cooked carrots on a plate, but if they don't know, you know, I think a lot of kids would think like, oh, that comes from the supermarket, but actually they need to know, like, actually it's grown from a seed, and it comes from, you know, the ground, and you can grow them yourself, and you can grow lots of different types of carrots, and they can be short ones and fat ones and
mhm,
different colored ones and all sorts of stuff. And so it's like there's just so much to gardening that it's just so joyful. And I think it also, do you know what it's taught me actually, is how to be patient.
yes,
I've found that really hard. I think, like, especially at today's society where we have everything instantly, like everything's just, you know, there as immediately, as much as soon as we want it and stuff. And I think gardening, growing veg, really teaches you to slow down, and you have to just wait, and that is really hard.
yeah,
I remember, like, there was a couple of years where I just could not wait to get growing my seeds and stuff, and I did it way too early, and then of course they all died because,
yeah,
you know, because it was too cold still and
mm,
stuff. And like, and but you know, I could, it's just one of those, yeah, like big life lessons, I think, like, that we all have, you know, the children get, and then we learn along with them. I just love it.
yeah. I also went through this. I bet everybody does. I bet when
Yeah.
everybody starts gardening, everybody has to go through that sowing them too early. And now, like,
Yeah,
sometimes,
yeah.
like, January ticks round and people are like, I'm sowing my seeds, and I'm like, I I must hold back because, like, as well, so in our house we don't have like full size windowsills. They're just very narrow.
Mm,
You
yeah,
couldn't stand anything on them. Um, and so it's like if I grow in my house, like everything just goes leggy. Everything
yeah, yeah,
because it
yeah,
cannot get enough light.
yeah.
And I've tried it. So in my bathroom, I have a skylight, so that is the
Mm,
lightest room in my house. But then it's like I've just got seeds all across the
everywhere.
house, and like, you know, when somebody wants to then wash themselves, it just becomes
Yeah.
like this massive ordeal.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
And yeah, it's just like it's like
yeah. It's
there's
not
no
worth it
point.
sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I was talking to a friend actually. She was like, is there anything I can sew now? And I was like, do you know what? I probably wouldn't bother
No, yeah,
because like when you grow things now, you've got they're so tender to look after that the stuff you sow 2 months from now
yeah.
will catch up with it. So and it will be
No,
a stronger plant and it will give you like a better crop.
yeah.
So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's
it
a bloke down the allotment who used to say to me, like, oh, don't bother doing anything till June. Just wait until June. And then
is
everything grows really quickly.
yeah,
And I was like, I can't wait that long.
yeah. Yeah, I'm not waiting till
But
June.
then he was like, I just put it all in the ground straight away. Like, as soon as, you know, like, let's say June comes around, just put all the seeds straight in the ground. And I was like, I can't wait that long.
Yeah.
I'm too excited.
Yeah, oh, last year I remember I'd grown my tomatoes and I didn't get I got my greenhouse last year and that didn't get put up until like whatever weekend Easter weekend was.
Mm,
So then I went down, so I think it was maybe very, very early April, maybe like the first weekend. And so then I went down like the next day and like just sowed a load of seeds.
yeah.
And yeah, like most things did okay. But I remember when it came to like my tomatoes did really, really well in the greenhouse. And then I wanted to plant them out. And I was thinking, like, my granddad was telling me, my granddad's very like traditional gardener.
Yeah.
And he's like, you must harden them off, so
Yeah.
put them out during the day and then put them back in the greenhouse at night. And I'm like, I haven't got time for that.
Yeah, yeah.
So in the end, I was, like watching the weather, and I think it was like maybe mid to late May, maybe.
Yeah.
But it was still a bit iffy last year. The weather was quite
Yeah.
iffy through
Yeah.
through spring, and I remember I planted them out, and I was like, "Good luck."
Good luck. Yeah. Please do okay.
And I think I went back the next day, and I was like, "They're still alive."
Yeah. Do you know what? I did so much road gardening last year, like with like just breaking all the rules. And I think that's one of the brilliant things about growing veggies. You can basically do whatever you like with it. Like, and the plants will grow whether they, whether you sow them perfectly and you follow all the instructions, or you just do it however you want to do it. They're going to grow that is on their own timeline.
Yeah.
They decide. And I remember reading up about carrots and like how you're supposed to do them in like perfect little rows and stuff like that. But last year I literally just had a patch and just threw the seeds down in this massive and just like scattered them everywhere. And do you know what? It's funny because my daughter, she was the one that kind of started it off. She was like sprinkling them in and it was going everywhere. And I was like, oh, do you know what? Sod it. Just like and I just threw them down. Do you know they grew so well just by doing that. So I'm gonna do that every year now. Just like
Yeah.
throw them in this massive patch. And I was like I just went through as they were growing. I just went through every kind of few weeks and just pulled out all of the big ones, and then that left room for the other ones to grow. And we got such an amazing crop of carrots last year. It was brilliant.
Yeah, I think
And
sometimes just like breaking the rules.
yes,
It's
yeah,
funny. In the first year, like the first full growing season for us, which was 2022,
yeah,
I did parsnips. So one of the first things I planted, and
yeah,
like because I was still sort of getting the allotment ready, and so it was one of the first beds. And I remember I'd like planted the seeds, and I'd learned that you can't save parsnip seeds. They have to
mm,
be planted like that, that
yeah.
season only. And so I planted them all. They grew amazing. I had like the most
Ah,
amazing crop of parsnips. And then last year as it was,
yeah, yeah,
last year I just moved where they were going to be. So it's a lot of my beds, they just run in a straight line. So to rate,
yeah,
that was at the far end of the allotment. So I just brought it around to the first bed.
yeah, yeah,
Um and so I planted in there obviously ages and ages ago. And it was just when we went in the new year, um,
yeah,
I said to my husband, so we were basically going to make a bigger bed out of that bed. So I was like, well, we might as well harvest the parsnips now, because
yeah,
we're going to want to cover that area up. And I said to him, because I remember I was the one that harvested all the ones the year before. So I said to him, I was like, they're really difficult because they're straight in the ground, and the ground, is quite solid. I was like, they're quite difficult to get out. So, but you're gonna have to ease around them, because
yeah,
you don't want to like just cut straight through them and then
yeah, yeah.
get the bottom stuck in the ground. So I was giving him all these instructions, right? They're really difficult to get out, but we'll just do it slowly.
Mm.
And so we're kneeling down, and we started pulling them out, and they were the tiniest little
Oh.
not a single big one. And
Oh, rubbish.
we was just laughing so much because I was like, they were really big last year, and we
Yeah, yeah.
had this, do that, and then the tiniest bit, and I was like, oh,
Oh,
they didn't work. But it's
oh.
a good lesson in like what you think you're really good at.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're just
yeah, yeah,
not the next.
yeah,
And
yeah.
there's no rhyme or reason to it. The same thing happened
No.
with beetroot and leek. The
Yeah.
the previous year, I had the most amazing bed of beetroot and leek. Like I had so much, and I was like so cocky. Like I am clearly the best at
Yeah.
growing beetroot and leek. Like I haven't even tried. Like I'd looked
Yeah,
up
yeah.
good companion plants and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Last year, I didn't get a single one, and I
Oh
was like,
no.
oh
Oh.
no, I was very humbled.
The veg will teach you.
But yeah, it just
Oh,
goes to show, like, even when
yeah.
you know what you're doing, you still.
Yeah. No, yeah, exactly. Like I had no luck with parsnips last year or the year before. I think I had one parsnip that came out and it was about the size of a tennis ball. It was like the shape of a tennis ball as well. It was not parsnip shaped. And I was like, oh, what is this? And that was my only one. And then my sweet corn just didn't go either.
I'm
And
not good at
yeah.
sweet corn. Sweet corn,
Wow, yeah.
Not
My
good.
mum has loads of, she can do it. Like, yeah, she had loads of good sweet corn, but mine just took too long. I tried to germinate them 3 times last year and I finally got them going. Then it was too late in the season. They just,
Yeah.
and that was it really. But oh my gosh, you should have seen my pumpkins though. They were amazing. They were humongous. Like I had one that was like perfectly round, and had I had the other year I used a couple of COVID masks that I didn't need anymore to like
I think
use
I
as
remember
hammocks.
seeing that.
Yeah, do you? Yeah, as I'd done like I love because they're vines, aren't they? Pumpkins. I like the idea of like growing them like up a trellis and kind of
Yeah.
like over the top. And I had these, I don't have them now, the metal like trellises. They all, they've got all rusty, so I need to get some more or something else. But I yeah, I'd grown them up this kind of trellis. And of course, like the fruit itself is so heavy, you have to have something to support it. Because even though the plant is, it's got all these really strong tendrils and stuff, like the fruit eventually would have broken it. So I had these COVID masks underneath it. But it was really funny because when they started to change colour, for those that don't know, pumpkins start off growing green and then they eventually turn orange as they ripen, but the bit that was covered by the mask stayed green.
No.
So I had this like a mask, so I had to take that bit off. Yeah, and then last year I actually put a pumpkin in a bucket, like, and so I had to bring it was hanging from the trellis and I had to bring it down because it was just getting too heavy, and the hammock that I'd crocheted for it just wasn't taking the weight anymore. So I put it in a bucket and it just turned out to be the most amazing like shape. Like it was so perfectly round and I was like, this is so, like, yeah, I was so proud of it. And then we carved it, and then for Halloween, and saved all the seeds and fed some to a hamster, and it was just, I tried to make sure that we use every little bit of the veg that we grow, because like I just sort of think like we've put in so much effort into growing this veg, like we've looked after it, the earth deserves to have something back for that. So like we a couple of years ago I set up our compost heaps at the end of the garden, um and I mean it is literally, it's so simple. It was just a few pallets that I'd like bolted together so haphazardly, like they don't look pretty at all, and I literally just chuck any garden waste on there, like I know you're supposed to do like green and brown waste with composting and stuff, but I just chuck whatever on there,
I chuck it. I
and
chuck anything in the
just
compost too.
literally chuck anything on there. The only thing that I'm careful about is not chucking seeds on there, actually, because I don't want random things growing when we eventually use the compost and stuff. But last year we had so much amazing compost come from just all of the garden bits and pieces that I just randomly chucked on on this heap at the end of the garden, and I was so proud of it. I was like, this is like gold, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
I've made that like just for nothing really. And the wildlife that comes with that, like, we last summer we found some toads in our garden
Oh,
for the
interesting.
first time, and we yeah, and one of them, there was a male and a female, and the male didn't stick around, but the female was around for weeks, and we made her a little toad home, and she was in there for ages, and like we think she's hibernating at the moment in the garden somewhere, we don't know, but we haven't seen her for ages, and she's called Rosie, by the way. Rosie the toad. um, and but like I just, yeah, there's just so much that comes with that like if I hadn't have put that compost heap out, like would the toad have arrived? I don't know, like she may have done, but I do believe that like that has definitely contributed to it. And I know people can get a bit like worried about like the pests and stuff with growing veg and that, but we just tend to let nature take its course really, and
Yeah, we
that
do
I
too.
try really hard not to use any like pesticides and things like that, like, or I try to use everything naturally. Like we make our own uh what do you call it, fertilizer. We make our own fertilizer out of just like banana peels. You can do that, it's really easy. And this is all stuff you can do with your kids as well. Like you just literally just get like a large jar and fill it with banana peels and top it up with water and just leave it for I'd leave it for at least a week, and that's going to give you really concentrated. It stinks, by the way. It's really smelly, but it's going to give you really constant, like nitrogen concentrated. It's not nitrogen, is it? It's potassium concentrated banana peels.
Yeah.
It's going to give you like really lovely fertilizer that you can just dilute and just put it all over your plants and stuff. And so yeah, we try to just stay away from like all of the chemicals and things, because ultimately, like if you're putting the chemicals in the ground, that's going to go into your food. It's not just affecting the wildlife, it's actually affecting the microbiome of the soil, which is then impacting your veg as well. So it's kind of like, for me, I want to garden as organically as I possibly can.
Yeah.
My friend, she was telling me stories last year of her going out in her garden with a torch at night time in her dressing gown and a bucket, like picking up all of the slugs so that they wouldn't eat her strawberries, and then putting them on her compost heap. She's got slow worms that live in her compost heap, and
Wow.
she's like, am I making it too easy for the slow worms by like feeding them the slugs sort of thing? So I don't know. Yeah, so there's just so much to it. I just love it. And like, and yeah, when you're growing the veg, like it just brings like all the bees and the hoverflies, and like all your flowers that come with the veg and stuff. Like some people don't realize that veg, especially things like peas and beans and stuff, will grow from a flower. Like they,
And
that's the seed pod that is
and
is the end product of the flower, like once it's been pollinated and stuff. And so when you're growing your veg, you've got all these lovely little flowers all over, which are then bringing all the wildlife as well. So we've had so many interesting things, like spider, like so many interesting spiders and loads of snails, and like bees and hoverflies and moths, and like just so much stuff in our garden. And all of that like is just all part of like the whole learning process for the kids and stuff, and they love it. Like just watching all of that, they love spotting it. And we do this thing, I don't know if you've ever done this, but we do this thing each year. We keep like a diary of firsts. So every time we see, like as spring arrives, every time we see something new for that year, that would be like that, we'll write the date down and write what it is and stuff.
yeah.
So it's a really nice kind of little like thing to, like, activity to do with your kids. um but yeah, like I've got some activity ideas actually, if you would like to hear
Yeah,
some.
absolutely.
Or yeah, I've sort of split it into different age groups and stuff as well, because like there are going to be stuff that is more appropriate for toddlers and compared with like older children and stuff. And so yeah, so with toddlers, give them real tools, like real tools that they can actually use. Like you quite often will see like plastic gardening tools and stuff in garden centres and things, which are fine, but really they're not gonna be able to get really digging in the soil with them. And there are some really lovely children's sized tools that are made of decent metal and got lovely wooden handles and things like that. Like really, it's really nice to invest in those. And we got some for my daughter when she was 2, and she still uses them now. She's 5, like, and they're still really good quality. Like, so it's really worth kind of like investing in something that's like a really good tool. And also needs to be child size. So giving them something that's too big that they're not going to be able to like handle properly, you need to really give them something that they're going to be able to kind of manage to use. Toddlers just love digging as well and finding bugs and things like that. So having stuff like little pots or things like that where you can collect bugs. And I think sometimes as well, for us, it's about it's like our reaction to stuff really makes a massive impact on our children. So if we go, "Ooh, a slug," they're gonna think, "Ooh, a slug," like, because that's come from us. Like, but actually a toddler might be thinking, "Ooh, a slug." Like, and we had this like in joke in our family where my daughter just absolutely, like, her favorite bug is a slug. And it is though, because she'll go around and she'll like pick them up, and she loves them. She's like, "Oh, look at this lovely slug." And like, and most adults will say, "Ooh, that's really gross," but actually, like, we're not born with those thoughts in our heads. Like that's all like come from adults kind of giving children different impressions of things. So I think I know it can be really hard, especially like if you're scared of like spiders or something like that. But um like just to kind of like think about our own reaction to like bugs and stuff can makes a big difference to how our children kind of react to those things as well. And also then take that impacts how they take care of those things. Like if we are sort of looking at a slug with like curiosity and oh, look at its, its tentacles, and look at the pattern on its back and things like that. And if we're like really looking at it with curiosity, then our children then start to love these things and they take care of it, and then that paves the way for them taking care of our planet, which is, with the climate crisis and stuff, is so important.
Yeah, it's
Anyway,
funny.
back to
Yeah, my daughter, she loves worms. She's
ah
a worm lover, and I wouldn't say I'm the greatest fan of a worm.
yeah.
But she loves them, and she'll like pick them up, and I have we've discussed how good worms are for our compost. So
Yes.
whenever she sees a worm on the allotment, she picks it up. She said, "I'm taking this to the compost heap," and so
Yeah.
we should have the best compost ever.
Oh yeah,
Full
you
of
definitely
worms.
will.
But yeah, like I'm not the best lover of slugs and snails either.
No.
And I have to be really careful as well because I am allergic to bees. And
Oh
so
yes, yeah,
I'm not the kind of person that when there's something
yeah.
buzzing around you, everyone goes, just stay still. I'm like,
Like
absolutely
I
not.
can't, yeah. I'm off, yeah. Oh my
And
gosh.
but I don't want to pass that to them. So
Mm,
and obviously there's loads of bees at the allotment, and I'm like
yeah,
often just like
yeah.
just like silently trying to panic, like,
Yeah,
"Oh
yeah.
my God,
Oh,
get
bless
away
you.
from me."
Oh my gosh.
But you're right, yeah, like they don't come into this world with these preconceived ideas.
No.
They're things that we sort of
Yeah,
impart
accidentally.
on them.
It's
Yeah,
often accidentally as well, isn't it? And like I think sometimes we don't sometimes we just don't even think or don't even realize that that's our reaction and stuff until it's kind of too late, and then we're like,
yeah.
oh, whoops.
I often think as well, so our allotments is almost like in a triangle, and
Mm,
there's houses and each literally on each side. So it's good in terms of like when there's a storm, it's quite protected,
yeah.
which is good. But all the houses look down sort of like onto the allotment. And I
Mm.
often think, have people seen me like freaking out if I touch something? Like my biggest fear, which came true, my biggest fear was that a spider was gonna nest in one of my gardening gloves.
No, oh my gosh.
And,
I mean, I don't mind spiders, but sounds
and I
horrific.
stuck my finger into it, and then I yelled really loud. Well, I as I put my thumb in, I was like, "What is that? What is that? What is that?" And I
Yeah.
just started
Oh,
like shaking my hand off. And now
yeah.
you might think I'm silly, but now I will not leave my gloves at the allotment. I bring them home with
Oh
me
my God.
every
No,
time.
I'm with you if that happened to me.
I'm like, that's it. I'm not leaving my gloves here. The rest of you can do what you like, but I'm taking
Yeah.
them home.
I'm with you. I'd do the same. Oh my God.
And so anything in my greenhouse, like even the kids' gloves, I hang their gloves up. I've got like a bit of I don't know, it was kind of, I think it was like an old sort of like curtain, that
Mm.
curtain
Oh, I
wall
know what you mean.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hang their gloves up with a peg.
Mm. Yeah.
and
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
and so yeah, I'm just like, well, bugger for coming home. I love
Yeah.
you, but you can decide what to do with your own gloves. But yeah. So that they did all see me like absolutely shaking my hand,
Oh,
trying to get
oh
the
my
glove
gosh.
off.
Oh my gosh.
Like she's flipped. I don't know what's wrong with her.
Um, so yeah, so some other kind of like activities and stuff. Something that's really good for toddlers is using big seeds as opposed to like little seeds. So like things like tomato seeds and stuff are just, I mean, toddlers can handle them, but they're just very, very small. Whereas a bean seed is much easier for them to handle, or bulbs like daffodil bulbs and stuff, like much, much easier. So, like getting them planting like big seeds where they can actually see where they're putting it as well. Like quite often, like they might be able to pick up that little tiny tomato seed, but actually, like putting it where it's supposed to go is another challenge in itself. So
We had
things like,
I think we had about 4 or 5 tomato seeds in one pot last
did
year.
you? Yeah. Bless you. And things like watering, like toddlers love so with my Montessori hat on, there's this concept called heavy work. So toddlers, where they've learned to walk, and they're kind of like quite mobile with their bodies, and like but they're still looking for like loads of challenge with the way that they kind of move around and stuff. And heavy work's a big part of that. So it includes things like moving around heavy things, or like lifting heavy things and stuff like that. And so I got this memory of my daughter when she was a toddler with this humongous watering can. Like, she didn't want her own one. Like, she had her own one that was small, like that she was able to carry, but she was insistent on filling up my giant watering can with water, which I find hard to carry on my own. And she's like, oh, I've got to do this by myself. And it's just amazing. So, but yeah, watering's really good. If you've got a young toddler, I really recommend getting a spray bottle or like a squeezy bottle. Like, they've in down the beauty aisle, sometimes you can get like, or on online and stuff, you can get like these squeezy bottles that got kind of like a spout sort of shape, kind of almost looks like a straw that comes out the top, and you just squeeze it and then the water kind of squirts out. Just prevents your plants getting like flooded and stuff, because you can't expect a toddler to be able to like accurately pour and then stop pouring at the right time.
I've returned to plants before, and I'm
Yeah.
like, that's
Oh,
wet.
yep. Now it's swimming.
Work on that. That's
Yeah.
good.
I think when my daughter was, I think maybe when she was like 1 or 2, we got her some of those squeezy bottles for her birthday, and they was like, it's such a silly present to get for her birthday, but she absolutely loved it. She'd go around the house and she'd be watering all my plants and stuff, and I knew for sure that they were getting enough water and not too much. So she was just loving it, loving life. But yeah, for your preschooler age child, like things like counting out the seeds, or like sorting the seeds by like their initial sound and stuff. So like B for beans, and C for carrots and stuff like that. Like, we did a lot of that last week actually, where we had all of our alphabet. We got these wooden alphabet letters, and we had laid them out on the floor. And then we got all of our seed packets and just kind of organized them into like all of the different letter sounds. Just, well, mostly for my benefit, to be honest, because I just needed to know like what we had and what we needed and stuff. But my daughter was like loving it, because she was like putting all of these these seed packets in the right sounds and stuff. And even my son, who's nearly 9, like he was getting involved as well. So or like life cycles, like it's really easy one to do with a preschool child. So you can get like a bean seed, and make your own like mini greenhouse with a plastic bag. So you could just put like a small plastic bag, put your bean seed in it, fill it with a tiny bit of water, so your bean seed's got some water, and then like stick it on a window or hang it somewhere where it's going to be able to get some sunlight. And then you can actually watch the bean germinate and sprout a root and sprout as a shoot and stuff. And then once it's big enough, you can just plant it out in the garden, so you can like grow some actual beans from it as well. But that's a really nice thing for a child to see, because so much of the growing of a seed happens under the ground where they can't see it. So actually having it in a bag where it's see-through, and they can actually see the parts and stuff is really good. And then once they're a bit older, you can do things like counting in groups and stuff. So if like for some seeds, you might be putting like 2 or 3 seeds in the same hole. So then it's kind of like, if you've got a tray of 6 pots, and then you're putting 3 seeds in each, then you're counting in threes, and then like working that out. And it's sort of like introduction to times tables and stuff, and introducing them to multiples and things like that. And actually there's so much to it, like I could go on forever, but things like the Fibonacci sequence is something that's like so obvious in like in growing and stuff. If you look at sunflower head, for instance, once the seed head has developed, you'll see like the swirl of the seeds and the way that they go, and that follows the Fibonacci sequence. So that's really interesting to look at with an older child. Also, like things that I've done with my kids as well is like foraging. Like obviously with foraging, you have to know what you're looking for. Like, I would not recommend anyone go foraging unless they're really confident and stuff, but like I feel quite confident with that kind of stuff now. And we've gone foraging, and I mean, you could go foraging for blackberries, like that's pretty much everybody knows what a blackberry looks like. But like we've gone foraging for a few things and stuff, and then we'll come home and make tea out of them and things like that. Like dandelions, like people don't realize that you can actually you can eat all of the parts of a dandelion, like that's all fine. It's just different parts are good for different bits and stuff, and you can make things like dandelion honey, just from the petals and stuff, and we've done that before, so that's really fun to do as well. It's like kind of, it's not your traditional kind of growing stuff, but you get this really worth knowing that kind of stuff. And yeah, things like companion planting, like you mentioned earlier on, like understanding what kind of plants grow well next to each other. And because there's things like onions and leeks, like that kind of family, grow really well next to things like carrots and parsnips and stuff like that, because they help keep away the pests and things like that. So, and they help like with the soil and things as well. So yeah, there's all of that sort of stuff that you could do with an older child. Oh, and something else that we've done, something that I did with my son, is extracting chlorophyll from a plant, which is really interesting. So all you need for that is rubbing alcohol and a jar and just a couple of leaves of spinach, and you just put the leaves in the jar, fill it with cover the leaves with the rubbing alcohol and just leave it. And then over time, if you left it for a day, like by the next day you'd see a change in color of the rubbing alcohol, and that's where the chlorophyll has been extracted. Very, very interesting, and we really enjoyed that science experiment.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. I love doing all of these little things with predominantly my daughter, but my son
Yeah.
is coming up to that sort of age as well. We did beans last year. We grew it in a jam jar, which I remember doing as a kid
Yeah.
at school. Where
Yeah.
you put like some wet tissue paper.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, like you say, like so much of it happens like out of sight and ground, so those sorts of things are really interesting to watch. So yeah, they're
Yeah.
really useful. Thank you for sharing those.
You're welcome.
So for anyone who is starting to maybe explore gardening, maybe within home education, or maybe just even outside school with their children, do you have any like tips or tricks that you recommend to get started?
I think the biggest one is just to not overthink it and just go for it, because I think sometimes people can get a bit worried about like it going wrong and stuff, but actually that's all part of it, and it's a really worthwhile part of it, because even if you planned it all perfectly and stuff, it is going to go wrong. Like there is going to be something that goes wrong, and then you learn from it. So yeah, I'd say first thing I'd say is just don't overthink it, just get going. And the other tip that I would give is start off with stuff that vegetables that you love to eat yourself. So and easy things to grow are tomatoes. Potatoes grow really, really well, and you get loads of them. Like we've had abundance of potatoes. Beans are really easy, and they don't tend to get attacked by pests so much. So it's yeah, I think that can be quite disheartening actually. If you put so much effort into growing something, then it just gets like eaten by all the slugs and stuff like that. But we generally don't have a problem with that sort of thing with the tomatoes and the potatoes and the beans. So yeah, grow what you enjoy eating first, and I think that would give you the confidence to just go ahead and do a little bit more, and try something different and stuff. And I think one thing that I've learned over time is to like, I've spent such a long time like growing so many different things, that this year actually I'm pulling right back and just growing a handful of different vegetables, but lots of them, because I want to be able to, my goal is to try and get through the winter with everything that we've grown. So I'm hoping to kind of learn more about storing vegetables
Yeah,
properly and stuff.
I've got some good books actually, because I want to do the same. I want to
Mm,
figure out better how to store the stuff that we do grow, because I
Yeah.
guess in like the first years, I think probably lots of people do this, that you're just like, I'm going to grow everything.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, you know, like the first year I grew so many radishes, and I hate radishes. Like,
Oh my gosh, I did the same. Like, why? I said to the kids, like, because we got about 4 or 5 packs of radishes. I was like, why don't we have these? Because none of us like them.
yeah.
Grandad likes them. He can grow himself his own ones. Like, they've got their own vegetable patch.
I think as well, like radishes are so easy to grow, aren't
Yes,
they?
that's the thing. Yeah,
Yeah, and so
yeah,
you get like a quick win, a bit of instant gratification, because
yeah.
it
It
takes
is.
like
They're
a few
such a
days.
quick turnaround, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, very
But
fast.
actually, when I did grow, I grew like almost like an entire bed. I can't believe it, of a radish. But it did deter all of the slugs and snails into that bed. And so
That's interesting.
I'm very tempted to do like a small patch, a small
Yeah,
isolated patch this
yeah.
and see if they just all migrate and then leave everything else alone. I will report back and see if
Oh, yeah. Let me know.
but
That's
yeah,
interesting.
it's when we when we cleared that bed, we had like a bucket full of them. We just like
Oh,
we rehomed them. We didn't ditch them.
yeah.
We
No.
rehomed them in a bush. I'm sure they're all very happy. But yeah, growing things that are things that you eat is really nice.
Yeah,
But otherwise you're like, I grew this amazing marrow,
yeah,
but I'm not gonna eat it because
yeah,
I
yeah.
like it. But yeah,
Yeah.
I've got a couple of really good books. One is called, I can't remember. One's Preserving the Harvest.
Mm,
And the other one is something about freezing, and it sort of tells you how to basically have the best way to freeze like your produce so that it
mm.
lasts. And yeah, I will link them in the,
Oh, yeah.
and then I'll link them in the description. But yeah,
That's
it's yeah, there is quite a few books out there that will help you with that. Like
yeah.
I would love to, like, you know, like do more canning and stuff, but like
Oh,
I,
mm.
I read I can't remember what it was, but I remember when I read about like you have to do it right because of botulism, I was like, oh, I don't know if this is
Yeah.
for me.
Well, I've been trying to learn about canning as well because I feel like I really want to give that a go. And I've also read about botulism and stuff, but from what I'm reading, it's not as high risk as it might seem like it is.
Okay.
There's a lot of Facebook groups that I'm in at the moment on on canning and stuff, and yeah, so looking forward to learning a bit more about that this year because I think I'd like to do that. We got a lot of beans last year, um, but we don't really like runner beans. I don't really eat them, so I don't know why I grew so many. But I think it's to do with my son. I think he wanted to grow them. But like you could, wait for the seed pods to kind of develop and then like develop more. Because usually with runner beans, you pick them quite young and tender and stuff before the seeds are like too big and tough. But if you leave them a bit longer, then you can pick the seeds out and then I gather you can kind of like preserve them and stuff. I don't know enough about that, but I think I'd like to learn a bit more about it.
Yeah, I'd definitely like to learn more. Like I follow some people on Instagram that do like preserve everything, like even
Yeah.
like eggs in like, is it called like glass something? I can't remember, but it's basically like eggs underwater, and
Oh, I've seen this. Yeah.
yeah, and it preserves them for like I don't know how long, but
Yeah.
yeah, all sorts of stuff. And yeah, I something we do with our stuff is we have dehydrator. We've had dehydrator
Mm,
long before we had the allotment. Um,
yeah.
and tomatoes are really good in the dehydrator.
Yes.
They're just, the flavor on them is just
Uh,
incredible.
oh,
But
I've
yeah,
got to try that.
yeah, they're really good for things like the dehydrator is really good as well for things like apples. I just cut apple.
Mm,
I like core the apple and then slice it into rings,
slices. Yes.
and that makes really good snacks for the kids
Yeah.
as well. They do really like that. So things like
Yeah.
that, because actually it's funny, I actually shared on my Instagram the other day about my dehydrator, because whenever I share that I'm dehydrating something, I get so many messages of people like, is it worth it? Because I think they start around like £40, so it's
Yeah.
still a bit of an investment.
Yeah.
But yeah, I use mine, and not all the time, but
Enough.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean we've had it since we bought it before we moved here, so we've had it like
Mm,
more than 7 years.
yeah.
And so yeah, I definitely, that's a good way of like preserving stuff as well. But
Yeah.
I definitely want to learn more, because I tend to be like, okay, get the book out about how to freeze it and
Yeah.
just chuck it in the freezer, and
Yeah.
think there are probably better ways that I could do some of
Yeah. Energy efficient way. Because the freeze, like I've talked about this with a friend about, you know, freezing more stuff, because we both enjoy foraging. So, you know, we often go out on little walks and things and like collect, like we collected loads of elderberries last summer, and like, and I randomly found a pot of like elderberries in the freezer and I was like, oh, I struck gold here. So like made but like we've only got like a fridge freezer unit, and it's not that big. Like the freezer, there's only 3 drawers, and so, and I need to really have that for like the food that we're eating for that week and stuff, and we don't have anywhere that we could have a chest freezer really. Like we've got a big shed at the end of the garden, but we've got no electricity down there, and actually I don't know if I want to be paying for another device, like another
Yeah,
thing. Like white's
we
good,
have
just
a
like
small chest freezer,
mm.
because we're the same, predominantly because we have like just the 3 drawers in our freezer, and when I was freezing my breast milk, when I was
Oh yes.
donating it, I like, there it was like taking up more than probably about 1.5 drawers.
Oh wow,
And
yeah,
like there
yeah.
was no room for anything else, and we actually decided that, you know, we would get us, because, you know, living in a small house anyway, it's like,
Yeah,
where are we going to put it, what, like, you know,
yeah.
we can't get a full-size chest freezer, but I
No.
can do like little narrow ones which
Oh,
work
okay.
quite well. I've still got a lot of my breast milk in it. It's
Have you? Oh,
I,
I've still got some breast milk actually in the freezer. I don't want it because I stopped feeding my daughter ages ago now. But like, I really feel like I want to have a ring made or something like that with it.
yeah, I want to
Yeah,
do that as
that's why
well.
I'm keeping
I
it.
said to my husband, I was like, there's an excessive amount of breast milk. Like, we're talking about breast milk that's been there for, I'd say, probably 18 months to 2 years. Like, no good for
No,
drinking.
no.
Um, but like, we all still, my husband will like chuck it in the bath and stuff.
Oh yeah, it's
Good
good
for
for the
you.
skin. Yeah,
Yeah.
amazing stuff.
So I'm like, every now and again, I'm like, I will think about the breast milk in the freezer. I will think about it, but yeah, we'll have so much more space then as well once
Yeah.
don't have the breast milk in there. But yeah, it was, you know, that was predominantly the reason why, you know, we got the chest freezer. But
Mm,
I would like to use other methods as well.
yeah.
So yeah,
We're lucky that we've got quite a lot of cupboard space at home. So it makes, for me, it makes more sense to use that cupboard space with canned stuff, you know, like
yeah,
stuff that I've canned. It's just the starting up cost, isn't it? Like trying to source enough jars and stuff like that. And I know you can reuse some jars, but I'm not that confident on what I can and can't use at the moment. So
yeah,
but yeah, it's sort of like I was saying, like it makes more sense to use the cupboard space instead of investing in freezer, which we'd have to pay for the energy of anyway.
yeah.
Um and like, yeah, but I like the idea of like drying stuff, like doing the dehydrating. Like I haven't got one of those, so
I did not a food, but I dried out lavender last year. My friend,
oh yes.
she was like, my father-in-law has given me so much lavender, do you want some? And I was like, yes, yes. And
Ah.
but I didn't have anywhere to really hang it, so for ages, longer than necessary, much longer than necessary, I kept being like, I will get that lavender down. I just like got 2 wire hangers from the wardrobe and like crisscrossed them,
Yeah.
and then tied the, like, you know, tied this like
Mm.
them into like little bunches, I guess,
Yeah.
and then pegged them on, and it worked amazing.
I love that.
um but I've been thinking, so I've got a massive cupboard in my downstairs hallway. My downstairs hallway is tiny,
Yeah.
but the cupboard is about double the size of it.
Oh.
But it's in an awkward position. I've tried all sorts of things like taking the doors off. Should we open up the hallway? But because of the way
Yeah.
the door opens,
Mm.
doesn't make
Doesn't
any
work.
difference. But I don't have a lot in there. Like we have like a shoe cupboard.
Mm.
We have like some hooks for coats and stuff, but there's not a lot else in there. And
Mm.
I've been thinking like maybe I could shelve it, and that could
Make it into a
still do.
pantry.
Yeah, I could like, you know, like if I'm gonna you know, do stuff like canning and stuff,
Yeah.
then it would be a good space for it. So I'm
Yeah, that's
kind of thinking
perfect.
about that.
Mm.
Because yeah, it is a decent size. I mean, wouldn't be tons of room in there, but yeah, it would
Yeah.
definitely work. All of my
Mm.
food amongst all the smelly shoes. It sounds delightful. But
That sounds
yeah,
great.
I think, you know, I think it's just like probably a natural part of it for most people that are gardening, that just,
Mm.
you know, first of all, you start with the growing, and once you feel
Yeah.
like you've sort of nailed that, you're like, okay, so how can we better store things? And
Yes. Yeah. I
yeah,
heard a thing once about storing fresh carrots in sand.
okay,
And you like
I
layer
have
them.
heard that, yeah.
Yeah, and but they have to be kept like in a dark, cool place. So like in your shed is perfect place to keep them, I think. But yeah, like kept in sand and stuff. So apparently they grow very well in sand as well. My mum's done that. Where she's got like these kind of tube shaped ceramic pots, which she just got random. Actually, I think I found them. I got them on Freebay or something like that. And so she fills them with sand and then drills like a hole in the middle and puts compost in it and then plants some carrot seeds, picks out once they start germinating, she'll pick out the smaller ones and leave the big ones grow, and they grow perfectly, like really long and straight, and she loves it. Like she's so
Yeah.
proud of them. I can't bother with that. It's too much effort. Like just chuck the seeds down is my method.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Like, I know we were saying about it earlier about like just being like just going rogue. I'm the same with
yeah,
like when I'll read the back of the seed packet. Probably the only thing I follow is like when I'm supposed to be
the
planting.
dates, yeah,
Other than that, I'm like, oh, it needs to be like 5 centimeters apart and 2 centimeters. And I'm like,
whatever,
you're
yeah,
going. I don't
yeah.
even. I'm not getting the ruler out to measure
No.
it. You go in a line, and we'll see how we work out.
Yeah, yeah,
But also as well, I'm think I'm going to do it. I'm going to be even naughtier this year with it, and I'm going to plant even closer together, I think, because
yeah.
I figure, like, do you know what? I get a lot of weeds,
Mm.
and it's like, well, if I put more produce down, then there's less room for weeds. So
Yeah, I must say I do pack them in quite tightly, and we don't really have a problem with weeds. So yeah, I think your theory will work.
and that's what I'm thinking, because last year I was like, oh, there's too many weeds, it's too hot. But
Yeah.
so also you have your own growing curriculum as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
do you want to share a little bit about it and how people can use that, whether that's in home education or whether it's just for people who have children in school, maybe just outside school?
Yeah, and even schools and nurseries could use it as well. Like it's
Yeah.
so I a couple of years ago started, it took me ages to write it. But I wrote a curriculum called A Year to Grow, and I'm so proud of it. It's a full 12-month guide, takes you through each month at a time, tells you what seeds you can grow when, gives you like loads of information about the wildlife that's going on at that particular time of year, and you know why um like just loads of information basically about like what's what you can do with your garden at that time of year. And I've designed it for families, and the reason for that is that I think it's really important that children know where their food comes from. And I feel like growing veg is a bit of a lost art in our society. Like everything is so instant and it's just available there, like in the supermarkets and things like that. And I think so for me it was like I'm going to create this thing where families can both like adults and children alike can grow together. They can learn together, and everyone's getting something out of it. So the children are learning so much about the way vegetables grow and where their food comes from and stuff, and the adults are, you know, along that journey learning about, you know, how to grow their own food, which will then benefit the health of their family. So there's just so much to it. So, but I designed it so that it's really accessible, that it's a really easy beginner's guide, so that families who have never grown anything before will be able to pick it up and they'll be able to go with it straight away. Like, it doesn't matter what time of year you start it, although I do recommend starting spring because that's when you're going to get the most out of it. But like But if you bought it in December, there is stuff that you can do in December. You can start with things. So the first section of the curriculum is all about like starting up your garden and getting you to terms with like the terminology and understanding about composting and like just loads of stuff that just to get your garden started. And then the second section is like a monthly guide, so it takes you through each month. And then the third section has got like individual vegetable guides. So if you want to know just about beetroot, then that will be there. If you want to learn about tomatoes, then that's there. So that's like a quick sort of reference. And it comes with like loads of different activity ideas and things, and just teaches you about like, loads of different gardening skills, like composting, companion planting, weeding, like just everything that you could need to know to start off. And it is, yeah, really ideal for like families that are beginning this journey together, and just getting families out there together, like, and enjoying growing veg as a unit. And I really don't recommend people use it as like, this is what my children are doing. Like, it's really meant for families to do together, like as a real lovely bonding activity and stuff. So and I also designed it with people that don't have gardens in mind. So there's loads in there. If you don't have a garden or access to any kind of like outdoor space, there's loads in there that will help you to grow veg on your windowsill, like in pots and stuff. Like, there's so many vegetables that you can grow in a pot, like onions easily grow in pots. And so if you don't have access to a big garden, or like, you don't even have to have a big garden, like you can just have like a tiny little garden, and you can be clever about it and grow vertically. Like, there's loads of ways that you can make it manage, even if you don't have access to outdoor space. So, and what's really nice about it as well is that it comes with a free children's journal, so printable PDF, and you can so print off the whole thing, or we just print off month by month and just stick it into like a scrapbook. And you can you take a picture of your patch each month, so you've got like a little progression, and write down all of the wildlife that you've seen and all of the seeds that you want to grow, and just kind of like a little kind of journal that you can follow along together, and just kind of keep a record of your growing journey and stuff. So yeah, that's it really.
Yeah, so we have your Year to Grow curriculum. So
Yay.
we dipped in and out last year, but I intend to do it like a lot more this year.
Yeah,
My daughter, but I think this year, because my daughter, she'll be 5, my son's 2.5, and I'm really looking forward to
yeah,
just using it for the entire length,
yeah,
and as well, something that you can like dip into year after year after year.
yeah,
um, it's not just like a one time, like, oh, we're just going to use it one year and then it'll be done. It can
yeah,
keep coming back to it.
yeah,
And so I'm really looking forward to it this
yeah.
year. And
That's great.
yeah.
I'm looking forward to using it as well, actually. Like, we've started to print off the kids' journal for this year and stuff. And I think what's lovely about it is that as your children grow older, like, they'll be getting different stuff out of it. It's not one of those sort of curriculums that starts and ends like with a particular age group or anything like that. Like, this sort of thing that you could be starting with your 1-year-old. It's also relevant for your 13-year-old. It's just it's just lovely. And even adults, you could just, even if you don't have a family or you don't have children, even if you're your grandparent, or like you've got a friend that's got children or whatever, you don't even have to have children to enjoy it.
Yeah, I love that. And I'll link it all, so anybody that wants to go and get it can
Thank you.
come through and buy it. So,
Yes.
but yeah, I mean, it's beautiful as well. It is really beautiful.
Thank
I
you.
love anything that is very beautiful on my eyes.
Thank you.
But yeah, we're
That's really
really,
kind of you to say.
oh, you're welcome. So yeah, we're really looking forward to using it as well. And I just love like the our growing space. And like you were saying about, it's not just designed for people that have an allotment or a garden or something. Like, up until I had the allotment, I grew solely on my balcony for like 5 years. And last year I didn't really grow on my balcony very much. few little bits. But actually now I had a year without growing on my balcony. I'm like, even though I've got the allotment, I you know, I
Still want
very
to.
much have the intention that I want to do like herbs and
Yeah,
like almost like, you know, like a little medicinal herb garden kind of thing out on
that's
the
nice.
balcony.
Yeah.
You know, the things that, and I think I'm going to do peppers up there because it's south facing, and
Mm.
peppers have always loved it. And
Yeah.
I transferred last year. I was like, I won't grow on the balcony this year. I'll just make it simple and just do the allotment. And I planted peppers at the allotment and they all just died. So,
Oh, yeah.
so I'm
The
going back.
universe is telling you to grow them on your
Yeah.
balcony.
But there's so much you can do in a small space. Like, so our balcony is it's a good length, I suppose, but it's 1 meter by 4 meters. And
Mm.
yeah, we just do, you know, like a lot of vertical stuff, like you said.
Yeah.
We have those pots, you know, that like that can hook over.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
The way our balcony's structured is we actually have gaps in sort of like the balcony surround, and they actually
Mm.
fit perfectly in,
Ah,
so you can almost like stack. I think I had like 3 up it last year.
oh, cool.
And so you can really like utilize space. But I've grown all sorts. I grew potatoes, I've grown beetroot in pot.
Yeah, yeah.
They don't necessarily grow as big as in the ground, but
Mm.
still
Yeah,
perfectly fine. Strawberries, obviously, tomatoes, peppers.
yeah.
I did a cucumber up there because I had
Oh,
a little bit of
amazing.
trellis.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think, like basically anything you can think of, I've probably tried to.
had it.
I never did sweet corn.
No.
But you can do, I mean, they're a little bit more difficult. They don't even love anything. They're totally my allotment. But you can, you know, you can even do carrots, like root veg.
Yeah,
You can do all sorts of things.
yeah.
It's like even at the allotment, I grow potatoes in the ground, but I also grow them in like those bags as well,
Bags, yeah, yeah,
and tubs. Anytime
yeah,
I've got one of those tubs that the handles break on, I'm like, wait,
yeah, yeah.
potatoes now.
Yeah, yeah. I've got one actually in down my sideway of the house. Like it's my washing basket. The handle broke. I'm going to use it for potatoes because I find that like I love growing potatoes in the ground. I feel like they get loads of space when they do. But every single year there is one rogue potato that I didn't dig up and then it's sprouting. So I think if I grew them in that tub, then I'd be guaranteed not to have random
Yeah.
potatoes sprouting up.
What I really love about ground potatoes is like in the ground is how nice the soil is after. It's
Yes, I love
beautiful.
that.
And
Yeah,
it's funny, where I planted my potatoes last year was where not last year, year before last, in
yeah,
2022, was where I planted my parsnips that didn't make it in 2023. But as I was digging them up, I was like, this soil is still beautiful. Like,
yeah.
even after all that time. So now it's my intention, because so our allotment was it had been used, but it was quite overgrown. We basically stripped it back and started over. So now it's my intention, as the years pass, to just get potatoes in every bed,
Yeah,
you know, as
yeah,
we go, until I've done the whole lot, because
yeah.
I think I don't know, it just makes somebody more scientific.
Turns it up. Someone told me once that if you're starting, like if you've got an allotment that you're starting off with, potatoes are the best thing to plant first because because they expand so much under the ground, they will churn up all of the soil underneath. And because I've got quite big sort of leaves and things as they're growing up, they suppress all of the weeds as well.
Mm.
I don't know how much truth there is in that, but I feel like that's probably a good theory.
Yeah. So my granddad was telling me, as I was telling him my woes on how you know, brassicas are just a nightmare.
I can't do it. No,
And
I've never had much luck.
I said to him, like they just don't. I don't know. I think it's because, you know, I'm like, well, they need to be netted because otherwise they're just going to get eaten. And he was telling me that his dad used to have a couple of allotments, and how they would grow brassicas is they would plant their potatoes in rows and then earth them up, and then
Mm.
they would plant their like cabbages in the gully. And
Oh,
I was like, did you put netting over them? And he was like, no.
Oh,
None of
I
that,
love
none
that.
of that modern newfangled
Yeah, yeah.
thing.
Rubbish. I love that.
I actually thought, well, I was like, well, do you know what? I can't grow brassicas anyway, so
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a go this year. Because
Yeah,
when
why
when
not?
I was telling my mum, my granddad won't listen to this podcast, I hope. I was telling my mum, I was like, I didn't tell granddad that I don't earth my potatoes up. And
Oh
now
my
I'm going to
gosh.
have to earth my potatoes up.
Yeah.
Experiment. But I thought, do you know what? Because when we took over the allotment, the one thing that had grown really well was cabbages. They were enormous. Like
Oh,
I didn't come and get them. So when we
no.
inherited them with the allotment, and they weren't really that eaten, and they weren't covered.
Oh,
And
okay.
so I'm like,
Interesting.
so I'm gonna
Yeah.
try this potato earthing
Mm.
up, brassicas in the gully,
Yeah.
and again I will report back.
Okay.
I've got lots of
Last
science experiments to do this year.
Oh yeah, there's so much to learn. I've never had much luck with brassicas either. Like last year I tried growing broccoli, I think it was, and like they they got dug up by a cat or something when they were really young, so they ended up growing really wonky. And then when they got big enough, all the butterflies were laying their eggs on it and stuff. And I was trying to catch like the eggs before they developed into caterpillars and just like picking off that leaf and chucking it on the compost heap because I thought at least if they hatch then they've still got a leaf to eat.
Yeah.
Like, it's not on my plant. But like occasionally like I'd miss a load and they'd be like I just in the end I was like, oh whatever, the blue tits can just help themselves and the caterpillars can help themselves.
Yeah, so I'm going to try this theory because I guess
Mm,
I think he was saying sort of like the potato leaves sort of, cover up.
yeah, cover it up. Yeah, prevent the butterflies from flying in, maybe. That's
Yeah,
interesting. I like that tip.
I'm
So
gonna put
always, I feel like elderly people who are just so wise with that sort of stuff. Like they just, yeah, give you so many good tips with
yeah,
gardening and stuff. Just need to like befriend a little old person that
yeah.
will like teach you all about gardening.
I know, like at the allotment, there's a couple of guys that a lot of people around where I live are of Italian descent because
Mm,
of where we live in the Lee Valley. It was like
mm,
originally, like it's still quite a big growing area anyway, but there were it was a lot. It was very much like a growing area, in
mm,
its past, and so a lot of the people sort of on our plot are of Italian descent. And
mm.
my next door neighbor, he's always like, I don't understand how you English people grow tomatoes. I'm like, I don't judge everyone by my standards
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm not very good.
That's so funny.
But he's always hilarious as well because like my kids are always like waving to him and they're like,
Yeah.
where's he going? And he's like, I've got to go home and have my pasta.
Oh, that's so
But
lovely.
he's hilarious.
I
But
love that.
yeah, like another one of the guys on the allotment, he's also Italian and he grows the best tomatoes and he always grows too
Mm,
many and like gives them out.
I
Uh,
love that. Yeah.
so yeah, I always get like good tomatoes. And then
Yeah.
from here, so whenever he gives me tomatoes, I then always like save the seeds, dry them out, and I'm like, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
grow
yeah.
his tomatoes.
That so much, yeah. I love that. You
So,
just reminded me, it's like totally random thought that just came to my head, but a friend of ours is another homemade family. They grow their own veg as well, and the boys every day last summer had their own little like veg stall outside the front of their house, and people came and bought their stuff all the time, and they made so much money from it. So that's another little like activity you can do. It's like
yeah,
sell your produce,
yeah,
pure organic,
yeah. So
amazing, like
if you get,
homegrown.
yeah, if you get a glut, then you know
Yeah, yeah,
you can
yeah. Go find
possibly.
them.
There was a lady at our allotment last year, and she was like, we were parking at the same time, and she was like, "Do you need any courgettes?"
Oh yeah,
And I was like, "Yeah, I haven't grown any courgettes this year." She's like, "Oh my God, I've got so many, and I don't know
yeah.
what to do with them."
Courgettes are so that's another easy one to grow. Like they just multiply so
Yeah.
much, and like yeah, we had lots of success with those and cucumbers. Actually, we did really well with cucumbers last year.
Yeah, I did really well with cucumbers last
Yeah,
year as well. Yeah, I did them
yeah.
in the greenhouse, and I thought, because actually up until last year I've been trying and failing, and then last year I planted them in the greenhouse. I put like a
Mm.
raised bed in the corner of my greenhouse, and they did incredible. So
Oh, brilliant. Yeah.
I'm like, right now I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Greenhouse.
Yeah, yeah. We don't have a greenhouse. We did ours outside, but I think where we've got our vegetable patches, it's like prime location, like for this, because our garden is east facing, I think. East facing, I think. The sun just comes like up and over our house and goes back over. And yeah, so like the sun is just always on that side of the fence of the garden. I think like being close to the fence as well, it's probably like warming up the plants a bit and
Yeah.
stuff. And yeah, so it's nice. It's just great. I just love it. I don't
Yeah,
think I'll ever stop growing veg. I think I'll always will.
yeah, I
Now
love
it's
it.
just part of me.
And
So Emma, the
I'm
veg
already,
grower.
yeah, I'm already like, want to get planted. And my granddad said to me the other
Mm.
day, he was like, it's time to plant peppers now. Did you know? And I was like, don't make me start. Don't do it. Don't do it. And I was
My
like,
friend bought me a calendar of growing veg calendar, and it has seeds at the back,
oh,
like in, and
fantastic.
it's got seed paper. So every month it gives you like little seed, yeah, something to grow, and it's chilies.
I love
This, so
it.
I should do that. I haven't done it
I
yet.
want to do loofahs again. And
Oh, did
I know,
you manage that?
no, they died.
Oh, I've tried twice, and I had like a little pot in the conservatory once, and it didn't work. And then I've tried to do it in my mum and dad's greenhouse once, and they didn't work then either. But I really, really want to do
Yeah.
loofahs.
I think I'm gonna. I think it's the only seeds I don't have, so
Mm,
I'm going to. I think I am going to get some, because you don't get that many seeds in a pack. Um,
no, yeah,
what I do, but because they're quite a hard, like a hard seed. If you
yeah,
clip them on their,
mm,
I think on their smooth edge,
yeah,
clip them on their smooth edge, and then that helps them germinate. And I
yeah.
germinate them in like wet kitchen towel.
Do you?
That
Yeah,
does work. The problem is, because you have to start them really early,
mm,
and they need to be, I think, like 25 degrees. So they have to be in your house, really.
yes, yeah,
And in my house, there's not enough light. Like, I have beautiful light. I have so many windows, but still,
yeah,
we have more windows per room than like average.
yeah,
We have like, so in my bedroom, like the entire length of one wall is window, but
yeah.
still. And
Still not enough.
I would be moving them around the house like every day, like getting them out of the bath, putting them in front of the window.
Oh,
But they did go a bit leggy, but they are kind of like, like tomatoes and cucumbers, where they've got like furry stems,
yes,
and that you can sort of bed them down a bit further and they'll
yeah,
root out.
yeah.
So, but I did eventually kill them, yeah. But I didn't have
No,
a greenhouse then, and that was the problem,
mm,
because I didn't have anywhere to put them, and I
for
was
them to go.
starting to get a bit fed up with them in the house.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I had one year where in our old house, because we had quite a big back door sort of near our stairs, and I was tempted to grow them up our stairs, like in between the banisters and stuff like that. We couldn't do that here because there's not enough light in the hallway. But yeah, well, you have to let me know about
Yeah,
your
I think
loofahs.
I think I'm going to do it, because then I can transfer them to the greenhouse,
Yeah,
but probably not for months and months and months.
yeah. If you have success, you'll have to send me one. Like
Yeah.
dried out one. Not
Yeah.
don't send me a wet one.
You just be
Send me a
like,
dried
what
out
is
one.
this?
Yeah. Why is she sending me that? Leave it on the
Yeah,
vine until it's dry and then I'll have
I
it.
think probably what I'm going to do is just do like maybe like 3 plants, so it's manageable, um,
Yeah.
and not like, oh God, I remember like 2 years ago, like my bath was filled, and I had like those
Mm,
one of those big black like gardening trays. We usually
yeah.
use it to put under our air conditioning unit in the summer, in case like like the water reservoir overflows. But it was the perfect size to balance across the two sides of the bath,
Mm,
and then I
yeah.
filled it with plants. But
Yeah.
it's massive, and so every time you want to get in the shower or the bath, you have to
You'll find somewhere to put, yeah. You might
so,
have much more success with the loofahs if you have more than one, like a few plants going on. Because
yeah.
when I had them in my mum and dad's in my mum and dad's greenhouse, we had a lot of the female flowers come up, but no male ones. And
Yeah.
so like, and when you're kind of, so if you're growing stuff like cucumbers and stuff like that, or like squash, pumpkins and things like that, you'll have male flowers and female flowers, and you need to have the male flowers pollinate the female flowers to be able to actually get the fruit. And so like with our courgettes last year, I was like literally picking off a male flower and just dabbing it around like on the female flowers and stuff like that. But with our loafers, we just they never timed right. I have seen people though do things like get like a bit of string and wrap it around the petals of a female flower to prevent it being opened, and then or like keeping a male flower in the fridge to
Ah,
like, you know, for when a female flower arises, sort of thing, which I think is really interesting.
yeah.
So yeah,
One of my
hand
allotment
pollinating.
neighbours gave us, I can't remember what it was now. I don't know. He said it was an Italian marrow, but it died. I killed it.
Oh.
Well, he gave it to Ray, my husband, technically, and then he said you have to self-pollinate it, and I was like, oh, that sounds like a you thing. Enjoy your new plant, but yeah, didn't make it. I'm sure he came round and was like, she's killed that. She killed that.
Oh, never going to trust you with his plants again.
Well, thank you so much for joining me on today's episode. Where can people find you online and connect with you and get your curriculum from?
Come to me on Instagram because that's where I generally hang out. Instagram.com/a year to grow. A year to grow. Yeah, and then you can find the link in my bio and you can look at the sample. It's a big old sample of the curriculum, because I know that people, like when they're looking at stuff like that, don't necessarily want to go in and buy it without really knowing what they're buying. So this has got a huge sample for you to flick through and stuff. And yeah, and if you like it and you want to buy it, thank you so much for supporting me.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining
Thank
me.
you. I've absolutely loved it. It's been so much fun.
Oh my goodness, another amazing episode. I am so grateful that I get to hang out with such amazing people on this podcast. I think I say it all the time. I really think I do. But it is so true. I am always it's just so much fun. It's just so much fun and I'm so grateful for it. So yeah, thank you to Emma for coming on today's episode, and you can check out all of her links. Like she said, I will link everything of hers in the description. You can follow me as always over on Instagram, which is The Slow Living Collective, and you can follow my blog, theslowlivingcollective.com, and you can also find me over on Substack. That's where I'm hanging out quite a bit at the moment, which is theslowlivingcollective.substack.com, and you can subscribe as either a free or paid member. It's completely up to you, and you can get all of the goodness of Substack delivered straight to your inbox, so you don't have to even leave your inbox if you don't want to. That's one of the things I am loving about Substack, is that you can actually access content from your favorite creators either on the app, on the website, or directly to your inbox. And I don't know about you, but I actually prefer, I think, having things directly to my inbox. So yeah, that's where you can find me. Thank you guys so much for listening to another episode of the Slow Living Collective podcast, and I will catch you in the next one.